Hey, how you doing, Chris?
You know, I don't know. I'm walking right into this hot seat. I thought we're just having like a nice, comfortable meeting. Sorry, I didn't get dressed.
So does everybody know each other?
I know who Dr. Turpin is. You may not know me.
Shepherd.
Shepherd.
And then,
Okay.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? Robert Ford. Call me Bobby. Nice to meet you. Hey,
So-
I know you got.
Dr. Turpin and Mr. I need to actually swear y'all in before the do it at the same time because it's the same thing. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Pontiac, Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Pontiac, Michigan,
and that I will discharge the duties of
and I will discharge the duties of
Medical Marijuana Commissioner
Medical Marijuana Commissioner
City of Pontiac
in the City of Pontiac,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, so I just need you both. It's yours, you just sign where your name is.
And I can put this up at the mic. You guys have been doing this, or? This is our third meeting.
And they are.
Huh?
Chuck Johnson was the chairperson, but he stepped down.
Oh, okay.
So today we need to, and I was selected as a vice chair.
Mm.
So I kind of chaired the meeting last week.
Just fell into the hole, huh?
Kind of. So now procedurally, what we need to do is select a chairperson and a vice chairperson.
Okay.
Or chairperson. And depending on who's selected, it might be vice chair. So either you have.
I know there's a provision that says we need 3 votes.
Yeah.
Isn't there one, or maybe, oh, maybe we have that in the role.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
One of them has some.
Here's why I say that she's a secretary.
You already got that.
Yeah. And so,
Now, what's that guy down there with the beard?
Bruce, Bruce, why can't it be you?
because I'm comfortable being the chairperson.
I've gotten used to coming home and getting on the couch.
Well, how come I asked you a question? I'm tutoring at school. I'm up there on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I still mentor and tutor at Whitman Elementary School.
Yeah, I'm at work 5 days a week.
That's what has to be
That's one of the
decided.
things we're going to talk about today.
The schedule.
Scheduling the meetings.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that during the meeting.
It's quite frustrating.
If everybody else is working, you do it. I'll do the best I can.
I know you, and that's all
What,
we
do you tutor during the day?
Huh?
School hours?
Yeah.
We'll talk
Well,
about
not
it.
school
We'll talk about
hours.
it.
I'm only up there a couple
We'll talk
hours.
about it during the meeting,
Yeah.
okay?
That's what I
Okay.
mean, but you know,
Yeah,
not the
I'm only
evenings
up
and
there
stuff.
a couple
Right.
hours.
Ready, guys?
I know.
Now, we're going to be doing a lot.
We're going to have to go over the schedule. The schedule is item number 8, just because with the new members, there's got to be a determination of availability.
Somebody will make a motion, somebody will second it. Then we'll vote on it.
Okay.
So those are procedural as we go through the list. So you ask for a motion, somebody make a motion to.
If you're working, I don't mind. I don't mind. I'll do it.
That's fine, thank you.
It's all you
Let me know if you need any help. I work in the lighthouse for a federally qualified health center. So, you know, we deal with a lot of
They were ready.
need.
Yeah. still resting with the kids at the
It's a
school.
different phase of my.
Good evening, everybody. It's, according to my clock, it's 1:05 p.m. And today's date is April 14th, and this is the regular meeting of the Medical Marijuana Commission, April 14th, 2022. And so the meeting is now called to order. Can I get a roll call, Madam Secretary?
Good afternoon. I'll do roll call. Ford,
Here.
Shepherd, here. Turpin,
Here.
Wilson.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item is to make any amendments to the agenda. And what I'm going to request is that we have items 9 through 22, and those deal with the Cesar Chavez Overlay District Provisioning Center appeal hearings. And I'm going to request that these items be removed from the agenda. Are there any other agenda amendments? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to remove items number 9 through 22 from today's agenda?
So move.
Second.
Now, can I get a motion to remove these items?
Paul Wilson, I move that the items 9 through 22 be removed from the agenda.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
And I second.
Okay, got a motion made by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Turpin. Roll call.
Shepherd. Shepherd.
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Ford.
Yes. And let me just say to my new commissioners, I know that this is all new to you, but we're being recorded, as you well know, and we have microphones in front of us, so just be conscious of whether they're on and off when you're ready to speak or not. So, okay, next item is commission appointments, communications rather, and item number 2 is commission appointments. Just so,
The proof of the minute.
I'm sorry, thank you very much. Now that we have approved the amendments to the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Get a second?
I second.
Okay, a motion made by Ms. Shepherd and approved by Mr. Turpin. Roll call?
Turpin.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Ford.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 7th, 2022 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Turpin, second by Commissioner Wilson. Roll call.
Wilson.
Present.
Ford.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
Okay. Next item are communication items. Item number 2 is the commission appointments. Just for clarity, Chuck Johnson had been selected as the chairperson of the Medical Marijuana Commission at our first meeting. He has since stepped down from the commission. So by rule, we have to appoint a new commissioner or chairperson of this commission. And I need a motion on someone to recommend someone to take that chairperson's role.
I make a motion to elect Mr. Robert Ford as the new chairperson.
Can I get a second?
I second that.
Okay. We have a motion to select me as the chairperson. It was by Commissioner Shepard, and it was second by Commissioner Turpin. Roll call.
Ford,
Yes.
Shepard,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay, and by me being selected as the chairperson, that means that the vice chairperson seat is now vacant. So can I get a motion on a name of one of the commissioners to fill that role?
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Paul Wilson as vice chairperson.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion to appoint Mr. Wilson as the vice chairperson has been made by Commissioner Shepard and approved by, and second by Commissioner Turpin. Roll call.
Shepard,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yeah.
Ford.
Yes. Okay. Next item is communications from Bahura Law requesting a date change for PGSH Holdings LLC within the Cesar Chavez Overlay District hearing. Are we going to?
Yeah,
Go ahead, City.
Yeah, sure. So I can speak on this. So Mike Bahora is the representative for PGSH Holdings LLC, which did have its appeal hearing moved to this date, being April 14th. By virtue of the fact that you did move to remove that item from the agenda today, it renders this moot. So it just needs to be received and filed, and no action is necessary. We can move on to the next item.
Thank you, sir. Next item is okay, we go down to presentations. We're going to have a medical marijuana application and appeal process overview presented by City Clerk Garland Doyle. Mr. Doyle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to, in particular, since we have two new commissioners, and just to give everybody an overview of the entire process from, in essence, start to where we are today. Please laugh. Why can't I get it to the next slide? So there are two ordinances that guide the overall medical marijuana process. That's Ordinance 2357B, which was approved by the voters in the city of Pontiac in August 2018. It granted the city clerk the authority to oversee the medical marijuana process, license up to 20 provisioning centers using a 130-point scale. Then the City Council in April of 2019 approved a zoning ordinance which determined where it created 3 medical marijuana overlay districts: Cesar Chavez, downtown Walton, and it said where growers, processors, safety compliance, secure transporters, and provisioning centers could locate. So those are the two ordinances that guided our work throughout the review process. Okay. So prior to the acceptance of applications, the clerk's office did a lot of outreach. We made documents available, the application instructions, an application checklist, application materials, as well as a provisioning center scoring guide, which were available to all applicants prior to them turning in the applications. It was a one-time 21-day application period, which was January 6th through the 27th of 2020. So whatever you turned in during that particular time, that will be evaluated. You could not make any changes to your application because this was a competitive process. I also did 2 forums. I did a question and answer forum on December 18th, and then I explained the community benefits evaluation and scoring process on January 21st of 2020. So these are just the types of licenses that are available. There are 3 different types of growers, Class A, B, and C. And if you get a Class A license, you can grow up to 500 plants, B, 1,000 plants, C, 1,500 plants. Then it tells about processors, safety compliance, secure transporter, and provisioning centers. Okay. So as I mentioned, we accepted applications from January 26th through the 27th. We received 103 provisioning center applications. We received 17 in the Cesar Chavez district, 23 in the downtown district, 48 in the non-overlay. And what the non-overlay consists of, as I mentioned, Ordinance 2363 created 3 overlay districts, Cesar Chavez, downtown, and Walton. Then the city council said that 5 provisioning centers could locate anywhere in the city outside of those 3 overlay districts. So that's what we refer to as the non-overlay. So for a total of 103 applications. Applications are ranked based upon what district you applied in, and they were just ranked for that district. So the Cesar Chavez applications were scored against the other Cesar Chavez applications and so forth. We are accepting growers, processors, safety compliance, and secure transporter applications on an ongoing basis because those are unlimited. As of today, we received 13 applications. As it relates to the review team, we assembled a team of internal and external reviewers. Ordinance 2357B, Section 9, subsection J, allowed the clerk to engage professional experts to assist. So I got some professional experts to help us with the review process. All reviewers were required to sign a conflict of interest policy and as well as confidentiality forms. And the policy also states, what the city will do if a reviewer violated the policy. But to make sure that no reviewer would solicit, accept any types of gifts or anything like that, we want to make sure that the public and applicants were aware that this would be a fair and transparent process. So the internal review team consists of myself, Mr. Starks in my office, and Ms. Williams. And then the following departments are also a part of the review team: building and safety, planning, city engineering, code enforcement, public works, income tax, treasury, and Waterford Regional Fire Department, who serves as the fire department for the city. The external team consisted of Sherman Taylor. He is a licensed CPA. He also has a law degree, but we hired him in his capacity as a CPA to handle the financial reviews of the application. Robert Davis served as our legal compliance advisor. First was Rob Huth. Mr. Huth resigned during the process, and Mr. Davis served as the legal advisor. The planning advisor was Giffords Webster, is a planning firm, and Jill Bond and Eric from that firm served as our planning compliance advisors, and Mr. Astaire from Global Alliance Protective Group served as the security consultant. Okay. So the review process was done in phases. The first phase was just to check the contents of the application. That was handled by Mr. Starks in my office, just to make sure that all the components were there. Again, as it relates to provisioning centers, you could not submit any missing information. So we just marked if a section was not included. Then we conducted a default review to make sure the ordinance, you have to be in compliance with the city. You can't owe the city any income tax or any property tax or have any code enforcement violations, or as well as any problems with 50th District Court, like outstanding tickets. So that was called the default review that was conducted. Then the scoring review was handled by the various reviewers. Our internal planning division handled the planning sections of the application. The clerk's office handled the community development and community benefits of the application. I mentioned I had a financial advisor, security consultant as well, and then Mr. Starks reviewed some components of the application. After that was done, after each section was reviewed, just to make sure all reviewers scored each section fairly. So as I mentioned in the Provisions Center scoring guide, it said some sections were like a 10-point section. You could get a 1, a 5, or a 10. So to make sure that 1s, 5s, and 10s were fairly across the board throughout the Cesar Chavez or whichever particular district, we had what was called a compliance check. The compliance check was handled by the legal advisor and by the planning advisor. So the legal advisor checked behind the clerk's office, the financial advisor, the security consultant, and the regulatory analyst to make sure the various sections that we scored were all scored fairly across the board. And then, because planning is such a unique skill set, the planning consultant, Giffords Webster, went behind our internal planning section to make sure that they were fair across the board with the planning sections of the application. If the legal advisor or the planning advisor disagreed with how a section reviewer scored that particular section, then myself as the clerk reviewed both the section reviewer as well as the compliance reviewer and then made a determination of what the final score would be. So as I mentioned, all applications are ranked by district. We announced the rankings. Then after we announced the rankings, if you were not ranked in the top 5, because Ordinance 2363 only allows the top 5 ranked provisioning centers from each district to actually grant a license. But if you weren't ranked in the top 5, you have the opportunity to appeal. It's a 2-step appeal process. The first step was to the hearing officer, and then the second step is to this commission. So you had to apply within 14 days of your initial notice, and the hearing officer conducted a hearing, and then the hearing officer made a recommendation to myself, which I reviewed, and in all cases, I accepted the hearing officer's recommendation. So throughout the process, some scores changed, some rankings changed, and if rankings changed, then if like somebody was in the top 5, they got knocked out of the top 5 as a result of a hearing officer's recommendation, that applicant then had the opportunity to appeal to the hearing officer. Subsequently, they may have got put back into the top 5. But needless to say, if you were not satisfied with the hearing officer's recommendation, then after you received the notice from the clerk's office, you had 30 days to appeal to this commission. And then this commission can only overturn a clerk's decision if it was determined that it is arbitrary, and the city attorney will speak to what that particular standard is. So these are just the various review phases. We're kind of in this particular phase right here because we can't move forward with issuing conditional approvals to the top 5 ranked applicants until all of the appeals for a district are concluded by this commission. So once the appeals from Cesar Chavez are concluded, then I can issue conditional approvals to the top 5 ranked for Cesar Chavez and so forth downtown as the commission conducts its hearings. And this is just each applicant, I should say, got a scoring form that looks something like this. They may have gotten an earlier version. It changed a little throughout the process, but it showed what the section reviewer, what the legal advisor, and what the planning advisor recommended, and what the points were awarded. Then after the hearing officer's recommendation, some of this may possibly have changed. Now, as it relates to Walton, the Walton district was scored a little slightly different than the Cesar Chavez downtown in the non-overlay. And the reason was because the planning division was unable to score the Walton, our internal planning department was unable to score the Walton sections of the application. So the planning advisor, Giffords Webster, scored the planning section for Walton. And then what happened was the legal advisor did the compliance check for all of Walton. So Walton still had a compliance check, and all of the Walton applications were handled in the same manner. So this is just the same particular process. I'll just get past these. And then that was the Walton. So this is the Cesar Chavez overlay district. It shows the map of, you have to locate somewhere within that green area. And right now we have issued a conditional approval to one grower. That's PGSH Holdings. They have received a conditional approval to do a Class C, which grow up to 1,500 plants. Because in the cases of growers, processors, secure transporter, safety compliance, those applications are unlimited. It wasn't competitive. It's an ongoing basis. And if an applicant did not submit an incomplete application in that case, we did send them a deficiency notice. They were allowed to cure their deficiency. In the case of provisioning centers, that did not occur because it was a competitive process and it was only a one-time 21-day application period. This is the downtown overlay district. And then the Walton overlay district, the sections in green. And then the non-overlay, as I mentioned before, outside of those, Ordinance 2363, the zoning ordinance, created those three overlay districts, Cesar, Chavez, downtown, and Walton. And then as it relates to provisioning centers, 5 could go anywhere outside of those 3 overlay districts, just long as they located in C1, C3, and C4 zoned properties, and up to 5 provisioning centers. And then safety compliance and secure transporters can locate outside of the overlay districts as well. They just, in all cases, you just have to receive a permit from the Planning Commission to get a special exemption permit before you're able to operate. Okay. So now the appeal process. I mentioned there is a 2-step appeal process, the hearing officer, and then the Medical Marijuana Commission. So as the clerk, I selected Grewal Law to serve as the hearing officer. Initially, John Frazier was with Grewal Law. He left their firm in August of 2021, and he joined another firm. So he was the lead person of the team up until that point. And then the 2 attorneys that were assisting him was Cheyenne Beignet and Chelsea Leonard. And then after Mr. Frazier left to join another firm, Cheyenne became the lead attorney for Grewal Law, and Tim Seeger joined the team. And the all of the hearing officers' hearings have been conducted, and that's why we're now before the commission. So just to give you some context as it relates to the Cesar Chavez overlay district, this shows the initial rankings, and then it shows the rankings. There were 2 rounds of hearing officers hearings. After round 1, some of the rankings changed, and as I mentioned before, if you can notice, I believe it was Cured Leaf and Caesar's Garden, their rankings dropped, so they were allowed to appeal. Even you can appeal even if your ranking drops. If you're in the top 5 and your ranking, if you were like ranked 2 and you drop to 4, you can appeal because the ordinance says if you receive an adverse decision from the clerk, you can appeal. So Caesar's Garden and Cured Leaf appealed their rankings after the first round. So then they had their hearings, and as a result, in that final, in that 3rd category is what the final rankings for the Cesar Chavez hearings are. And then I believe 1 withdrew last week. 4 applicants have appealed to the commission, and that's Caesar's Garden, which that's their doing business as name, but I think they're Pure Life Solutions, PGSH Holdings, and I believe it's the Dixie Depot that are before the commission. Downtown, there was just one round. These were the initial rankings, and then these were the final rankings as a result of the hearing officer hearings. The top 5 was not altered after the hearing officer rankings with the downtown. Some rankings moved with outside of the top 5, and that's why they're appealing before the commission, but none of the top 5 was affected. So there was, no reason for anybody in the top 5 to appeal. Walton, the same thing happened as it did with Cesar Chavez. Some of the rankings changed, and again, you see what the final rankings are. And I believe there are 4 applicants who have appealed to this commission. And then this is the non-overlay, what the initial rankings were and what the final rankings are. And you have a series of hearings that will be before you as it relates to the non-overlay. So these are all of the applicants that have appealed to the commission. They're by district: Cesar Chavez, downtown, non-overlay, in Walton. Again, last week, Lauren Investments requested they withdrew their appeal. So there are just 3 appeals for Cesar Chavez before the commission. Okay. And just to give you an update over the overall process, these are the grower applicants that we received, the processors. We haven't received any safety compliance. We received 1 secure transporter. And then the status of their applications. We have denied a couple applications because some applicants submitted incomplete applications and they did not fix their application. So their applications were denied. They were given the opportunity to appeal that decision. They chose not to appeal, so their denial stands. And then we've issued a number of conditional approvals as well, too. I should also mention that the City Council approved a conditional rezoning agreements, 3 conditional rezoning agreements, one for Rubicon Capital, which allows growing and processing to occur outside of Cesar Chavez because the zoning ordinance limited growing and processing to Cesar Chavez in the Walton overlay districts. But as a result of the rezoning agreement, growing and processing can occur at the old Glenwood Plaza sites. And we have issued some conditional approvals to Pharmaco and Family Roots in Lucid, Detroit at that site. Ryan Fried, conditional approval. They haven't submitted an application yet, nor has the Sheffield Holdings conditional rezoning either. So those are the other 2 conditional rezonings that the City Council approved. So after, which kind of relates to this process, after the clerk issues conditional approvals, then the applicant goes to the pre-permit process, which means they have to get their pre-approval. We allowed applicants to apply without having their pre-approval from the state, but before we can grant them a permit, they must be pre-approved by the state. They must satisfy all building and safety, planning, and fire department requirements, and they must obtain liability and casualty insurance. They had to submit with their application, in essence, a quote, just like you go out and get car insurance. We did not require applicants to actually get the policy, but they had to show the policy and that the policy met all the requirements of the ordinance, because why would we make them get insurance before they actually get a license? But they did have to have a quote with all the details in there. And then this just shows the growers and processors who are in the conditional approval process. And what I've also done is establish a citizen monitoring task force within the clerk's office. So as we begin to actually issue a license, we want to make sure all of these new businesses that are coming to our city are good neighbors. So the task force is working with the clerk's office to establish a community benefits tracking system. A lot of the applicants made a number of commitments that they would make in the community, and we just want to make sure that they fulfill those commitments. So these are the residents who are a part of that task force. There are 3 residents who are in the citywide category, and then there's 1 resident from each of the 3 overlay districts. So that concludes my presentation, Mr. Chair. I don't know if you have any questions.
Any questions from any of the commissioners? Hearing none. Thank you. City Clerk, go ahead. Next on the agenda is presentation by a city attorney report. Mr. Chuck, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairman Ford. First, I wanted to say welcome to the new commission members. We don't have anything. We just wanted to have a placeholder to make sure you had an opportunity to ask me any questions as it relates to the process, but I did want to speak a little bit about the review process, what it entails properly and what it shouldn't. And so the ordinance 2357B, which I believe you all have a copy of, if you don't, we'll make sure you get one, is very important in that it details the authority and grants the authority to this board and limits the authority such that if it doesn't enumerate the authority to review an appeal, then you don't have that authority. And so the standard for the appeals to this commission is arbitrary and capricious. That's a very high standard. I will provide legal memos with recommendations on each of the appeals in which I will set forth the applicable standards and how they've been interpreted by the courts of our state and of our federal courts. As you'll notice in the clerk's very detailed presentation, I was not involved in any piece of the review process, and that's really important to understand to show the separation and my role in this process. Under the charter, I act as general counsel for all commissions, so I am your attorney. It would seem improper, was our thought back in 2018, if I were to make decisions during the process that I later was defending as I was, or recommending on as I was assisting this board. And so that's why I wasn't involved. Everything is new to me. I have not seen the applications until we got to this process, and I have not been involved in any way. And so it should be understood that I am an absolutely impartial observer up to this point as it relates to these appeals. The Commission has already adopted rules, and those rules set forth the process for review. The important piece is that it does not have oral arguments unless requested by this board. These are all determinations made by this board, and I keep calling you a board. It's a board or commission interchangeably. And so the thought is that if you go through each appeal file and you understand the sections that are being appealed, the basis of the appeal, and you then look back at the notes and explanation as to how the clerk and his team of experts made their decision on scoring, and it's clear to you that that was rational, reasonable, and does not rise to the level of arbitrary and capricious, then this commission would be able to come to the appeal hearing, say we've reviewed all of the record, we understand how the clerk made his determination, we think it was reasonable, therefore it doesn't rise to the level of arbitrary and capricious, and the appeal is denied, and you would be able to make a motion based upon what you read. If, in the alternative, you believe that there are unanswered questions, the rules allow for a motion made by or approved by the commission to request oral arguments. And what would happen in that circumstance is we would schedule a separate date so that I could prepare to provide an explanation and defense of the city's position, and likewise the applicant could prepare to provide their basis for, or their explanation of why they believe that the decision was arbitrary. And so that is our standard process. As you see, this has undergone, all of these applications have undergone an extensive review. If you've seen the files, they can be very intimidating. In total, we have about 40,000 or 50,000 pages in front of us, I believe, that we are in total reviewing. And so what I would say is that obviously this is a de novo review, which means you are looking at this and not having to defer to any previous determination of the hearing officer. You look at everything anew, meaning you can look at their application and the scoring, look back at the appeal, and be able to look at the source documents and how the determination was made. But what I would say is that in each circumstance, the hearing officer did make a very detailed factual analysis, which was adopted by the clerk, and in doing so becomes part of the clerk's determination. And so it provides a very good starting point to be able to understand the difference in opinion of the clerk and the applicant, which you can then use to go back to the source documents. And so that's usually a really good way to start. As you'll see, I provide a legal opinion with each of the appeals as well, but my legal opinion does not question the factual analysis that is relied upon from the hearing officer, and I look at the arbitrary and capricious standard, explain it, and apply it for each of the appeals and make a recommendation for that. So you will find that some of the appeals go beyond the determinations made by the clerk, where the clerk, they will appeal all the bases of the 130 points, and they talk about items such as due process or that are legal arguments. Under Section 5, you are reviewing decisions and findings of the clerk, and that's consistent with Section 16 as well, where the appeals are really limited to scoring determinations and an appeal thereof. And so when you do see these legal appeals, those are likely attorneys attempting to preserve the right to argue legal bases at a future non-administrative hearing, and they aren't anything that will actually be before this commission to make a determination, and all my legal opinions on those particular appeals will set those out. But that does get to the next step. And so why they are preserving those is this is the last step in the administrative due process of the review of the determinations on applications by the clerk's office. The next step is that applicants then have the ability to appeal to the circuit court. And so that's kind of where we're at. That's why it's important that we review everything carefully and validate our decisions so that when your decisions, so that when we go to the circuit court, presuming that any of the applicants do appeal there, that we have a solid basis to defend the decisions of this commission. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chubb. Any questions by any commissioners? Hearing none? Thank you, sir. That is the next item is the Provisioning Center Appeals Hearing Schedule. Because of the changes in the commission members, some of the delays in the scheduling of the appeals, we need to come up with a schedule, commissioners. So it will be dependent on our availability, of course, and we can go from there. So we have to decide what day and what's a good time for us. Right now, Thursday at 1 o'clock, we have set that as the meeting time, but that we can change that based upon our preferences. So if there's anybody who would like to offer any suggestions. Yes, Commissioner Turpin.
Well, number one, I'm at lunch.
Okay.
And I don't control my schedule the way I used to. My work hours usually have me off by 5,
Okay, I mean to cut you off, is your microphone on, Commissioner?
Oh, yeah, this,
Okay,
you want me to speak into the mic? My personal needs are such that, I am employed, and I have a job that carries me through to 5 o'clock. I might have to do my notes later, but at 5 o'clock, I turn into a pumpkin.
so would evening meetings be more amenable to
They're
you?
more amenable, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other commissioners? Who would like to go?
I'll go really quick. My only objection is that the first week of May is kind of set for me. So if we're going to start scheduling, can we start looking at the week of starting beginning May 9th, and then I can adjust my schedule accordingly?
Okay, that's Commissioner Shepherd. Now, my question to you, Ms. Shepherd, Dr. Commissioner Turpin is more available in the evening. Would that be a hindrance to you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
My schedule is pretty much flexible, except on Mondays and Wednesdays between 10 and 11, between 10 and 12. I volunteer at the school. And the first Monday of each month, I have a board meeting with my church. And that board meeting is from 6 till about 8. Other than that, my schedule is pretty flexible.
Okay, thank you. So to all our commissioners, is Thursday a good day for you? Thursday evening?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now we have to think about a time. With a meeting at Thursday evenings, maybe 6 o'clock. Work for you, Commissioner Turpin?
That works fine.
Okay.
That works fine for me.
Thursday evenings is fine for me as well.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, Mr. Doyle, if we were to approve of the new scheduled date and time, could we rely upon you and your office to make the necessary schedules? Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I do have a question for the commission. I did hear Commissioner Shepherd say she's not available the first week of May, but are you available on April 28th? Can we start hearings on the 28th of April? And then we would go from the 28th of April to May the 12th, and then forward from that point.
And that date actually works for me too, because I know we had previously scheduled some dates for the 21st, but I've been advised that my wife is going to have some surgery on next Thursday, so the 28th will work out good for me as well.
So I guess I have a question, excuse me, Mr. Chair, for the city attorney. We have previously noticed that we would have hearings on, well, today is over, but hearings on April 20th, 21st, 22nd, the 27th, 28th, and 29th. So does the board need to take an action to cancel?
Yeah, just make a motion to reschedule on the dates that we agree upon and cancel, which would automatically cancel the others.
Okay. So then you just need a motion, Mr. Chair.
So if we were to reschedule, this dates would begin on Thursday, April 28th, beginning at 6 o'clock here in the council chambers. All right, and then each Thursday thereafter.
Well, not May 5th.
May. Okay.
To be clear, we're only doing Thursdays, we're not gonna do Thursday and Friday, like the consecutive days. Thursday.
I guess my question is, if we're doing Thursdays, how many appeals are we gonna do on that one day? You know, because there's so many. In some weeks, we were doing 3 consecutive days. However, you're saying on Thursday, then does that just determine that we'll do an allotted, how many are we gonna do per Thursday?
Well, that's something we can decide here.
Or is Thursday the
I'm-
only day we're meeting?
I know we had some dates on, dates around that Thursday. And the Commissioners Wilson and Turpin, they may not be aware of those dates. And I don't have those dates before me. Mr. City Clerk, do you have those prior dates?
There should be
They're in my packet? Okay, I apologize.
under item.
Right, yeah, right there.
Okay, thank you. I apologize.
Is my question clear?
Yeah, yes, your question is very clear. So we had originally had some dates for the 20th, which is a Wednesday, and the 21st, which is a Thursday. And then the 27th, we had dates for Wednesday as well as Thursday, the 28th. So, Mr. Commissioners Wilson and Turpin, you see those dates on your schedules. If those dates work for you at in the evening at 6 o'clock, Wednesday the 27th.
That could
But
be
I
arranged.
heard you, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, I thought we were starting beginning of 28.
Yep, 28.
Yep, you're right.
So we'll
Starting at
start on the
28.
28th and then adjust accordingly.
Okay, so, and then we can start with the Cesar Chavez overlay districts, which was the original scheduled set of hearings that we made back on the 7th, but had to postpone. So April 28th, we can start with the Cesar Chavez hearings. And then we can move to, and Commissioner Shepherd, which day are you not available?
I won't, so I will not be available to do Thursday evening on May 5th
Okay.
or the 4th of May as well,
Okay.
but there wasn't any.
So we won't, we won't schedule anything for Thursday, May 5th.
But that Friday or is, it doesn't have to be Thursday for me. That's just that one particular day.
Well, since we, why don't we we could just hold off until the 14th, until the 12th, to schedule the next set of hearings.
Okay.
And that would be the, that would be the Walton overlay hearings. May 12th, we're looking at May 12th
Yes.
at 6 o'clock.
So, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Is the commissioners amenable to also meeting on Wednesday for downtown and the non-overlay? Because, like I said, all the appeals are being done by district.
Yeah.
That's where we have the most appeals. I think there are 10 for downtown and then 9 for the non-overlay. So if you met both on the 18th and 19th, we could divide them in half, and then the 25th and 26th, if the commission is amenable to meeting on the 18th and 25th. So it'll be Wednesday and Thursday for
The
those
downtown,
two. Yeah,
and then the 25th would be the non-overlay.
yeah, yep. 18th and 19th would be for downtown, and the 25th and 26th would be for the non-overlay.
Okay. So commissioners, before us is a suggestion to have the Cesar Chavez hearings on Thursday, April 28th at 6 o'clock. Then the Walton hearings on May 12th at 6 o'clock. And then on May 18th and 19th, we will have two separate meetings for hearings on the downtown overlay hearings. And then on May 25th and May 26th, we will have two separate meetings to rule on the non-overlay hearings,
That works for me.
appeals. So are we clear on that? Any questions?
Question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, question that I have, in looking at the schedule and not having anything scheduled after the 28th, just as a precautionary measure, would you want to try to put something in place for that first week of May
Well,
as a safety precaution somewhere within there? I know you can't meet on the 5th. We said when there's no meeting on that date, but on any of the other days, would you want to look at a safety precautionary date and use it if we can?
so so you're talking about the week of May the 1st,
Yeah, anywhere in there.
okay?
You gone the complete week?
All right. Seems like the only available dates that week would be either Monday the 2nd or Friday the 6th.
Well, Monday is my board meeting at my church, so I know I couldn't do that. I could do Friday the 6th.
Well, as it's written, that would cover everything, so this agenda, meeting agenda should cover it all. I guess if anything needs to be redirected, you can do it at a later date. This covers all the other appeals, correct?
Yes.
You mean as suggested?
Yes, so the way it's set now, all the appeals will be covered as if we,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So there's-
Commissioner Wilson he's making a suggestion that we possibly look at scheduling something May the 6th, which is a Friday,
to do.
as far as for hearing some of the appeals. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was just as a precautionary measure in case something does go wrong. One of those other days, you've gotten one day the 6th to try to get ahead of that.
Well, the way that I'm understanding what we're trying to do, it will put all the hearings. One would be one would be on the 28th of this month, which would be the
Okay.
last month, and then all future hearings will be in May at a date that will be post May the
Okay.
6th.
Okay.
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 So move.
So right now, so if we're all in agreement
Yes.
with, just to be clear, April 28th, we will have the Cesar Chavez appeals hearing. May the 12th, we will have the Walton appeals hearings. May 18th and 19th, we will have the downtown overlay hearings. And May 25th and May 26th, we will have the non-overlay hearings.
Sounds good.
So if we all are clear on that, can I get a motion to schedule the hearings as
Yes.
mentioned?
I'm sorry, Mr.
That's a,
Can I get a motion?
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm sorry,
Chair.
go ahead.
I think it's to reschedule, since they've already been scheduled,
Thank you, sir.
to reschedule.
To reschedule the original hearings to the dates as mentioned.
I move the schedule to the dates as you mentioned,
Can I get a motion to reschedule?
to reschedule as you mentioned.
Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
It has been moved by Commissioner Turpin and second by Commissioner Shepard City Clerk, roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. All right. Next item is going to be public comment. And we don't have a sign up. So if there's anyone in the office, in the audience that wishes to speak, you will come to the microphone, identify yourself, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Anyone? Yeah,
Hello?
hang on a second, sir. Just a second. Okay, gotcha. Okay, go ahead and identify yourself, sir.
Hello. All right, thank you. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Johannes Bowles. I'm the CEO of the Take One Community Program, also citizen in the city of Pontiac, 42 East Fairmont Street, Pontiac, Michigan. And just speaking up ahead of time by one regarding two of the businesses that's in the, for appeals. One is Flourish, Michigan, there in the overlay of Walton. They have been given back to the Pontiac community, and also Jason with Acme. Also, they've been giving back to the Pontiac community and kids. And if you're from around here in the city, for book bass, passing out turkeys and everything else, my feelings regarding is about a lot of this stuff that's happening back with these people that's coming to our community to do business in here, to make sure that you get back to the city. Just don't come in and reap the benefits and take your funding, take your money, and go somewhere else. So I want to speak up in behalf of ahead of time, even though you're going out and doing the hearings next month. And I just want to speak up ahead of time for Flourish, Michigan. And Jason just left from over here. I can't recall, but they own Acme Auto Parts here, which has been a business around here for years. We got some other people around here that's citizens and business peoples that's here in our community that's been overlooked. And back a while before, when they had something with the governor, Governor Granholm had something about Michigan first. Well, that's what we need to look at, the people who give back for Pontiac first, people who's putting their blood and money and sweat and time into the city of Pontiac as business people. I welcome everybody to come, but we need to look out for people that's been here, that's been representing and taking out the time and investing in this, into our citizens. They need to be considered and not just overlooked. And welcome all the people to the new commissioners too. Also, looking forward to see you. You do a good job. Have a good one. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I'm sorry, anyone else? Hearing or seeing none. Next item is to call for an adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Can I get a second?
I second that.
Moved by Commissioner Wilson and second by Commissioner Shepherd. Mr. City Clerk, roll call.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
Okay. That motion has carried, and according to my clock, it's 2:04 p.m., and this meeting is now adjourned.